Elden Ring's open world was meticulously crafted. Everything we see in the distance is an actual location that can be accessed, granting an impressive sense of scale to the game. There are, however, a few exceptions to that rule. Some of them might have been planned during the earlier stages of development and ended up getting cut from the final version. Others could have been intentionally placed, perhaps as narrative hints or even as lingering plot threads for a possible sequel. In today's video, we'll examine inaccessible places, using external tools to explore beyond bounds. Let's begin. The fortress of Elphael is a circular structure, bracing the Erdtree. As we make our way through the outer layer, we eventually reach a defensive position, heavily guarded by Miquella's troops. Behind them lies a hallway which leads into the inner fortress. In it, right next to a site of grace, a particular door stands out, with a dense clump of roots grown along its frame, and a bright golden light seeping through. A similar image to the entrance of the Erdtree. Whatever lies behind the door, perhaps it was sealed away in a similar manner. This passage is fully blocked, though thanks to modded tools, we can take a look beyond it. The door leads to a small enclosed room, with no particular origin to the light source. This doesn't necessarily mean much, given that we aren't supposed to see it from this angle. But it does at least suggest the light comes from an interior space, rather than rays of the Erdtree's light shining from outside. Looking beyond the back wall, the room seems connected to the unrendered half of Elphael, a part of the fortress we never actually get to see on our journey down to Millennia's room. Based on the ancient murals embedded within the Erdtree's rotten stump, one can only imagine how much more we could learn if Elphael was fully accessible. It remains a mystery whether the door was blocked by the Erdtree's natural growth, or if it was intentionally sealed by Miquella, perhaps in an attempt to hide ancient knowledge from prying eyes. Speaking of the Erdtree, a fascinating detail can be spotted from here. Looking out to the north, we see a large landmass, which doesn't seem that far away from here, certainly within sailing distance. It appears to be a mountainous island, perhaps a dormant volcano, partially shrouded in mist. This place doesn't appear on the map, though judging from what we can see, it seems relatively large, comparable to playable regions in terms of size. Limgrave's Church of Dragon Communion lies on a small island near the coast. From here, we can see another landmass on the horizon, far out to the west. The lands between are evidently part of a bigger world, with several other continents and countries lying beyond the game map. So, it doesn't come as a surprise that there's more to explore out there. Using cheats to fly in their direction, we can get a better look at these outer lands in their entirety. Should Elden Ring get a sequel in the future, perhaps we'll be able to visit these places one day and travel from one continent to another. The ancient ruins of Rauh lie to the northwest of the Shadow Realm. Almost everything here is part of the playable area, except for these two plateaus, the highest landmarks in the region. There's not much to see up here, aside from grass and trees, which is somewhat surprising given the scale of the Rauh's architecture. Based on the size of their pillars, as well as their presumed height, they surely would have been able to build structures up there, like shrines or watchtowers, for instance. So, why didn't they? A likely explanation is that they were keenly aware of comets and falling stars, frequently crashing nearby. It would explain why their temples were built within mountains, where they'd been naturally shielded from such impacts, rather than out in the open, at the mercy of falling stars. Thus, the two summits were left uninhabited, allowing dense patches of flora to grow up there. The Fortified Manor is the ancient stronghold of Godfrey and the Tarnished. Throughout the game, we're able to explore the ground floor, as well as the second floor. The inner layout is very similar to that of the metaphysical Round Table Hold, with a few minor exceptions. Looking from the outside, though, there seems to be a third floor, with windows and balconies on both sides. Using no-clip to pass through textures, there certainly seems to be enough space for additional rooms below the roof. Historically speaking, the upper levels of castles often contained the local lords' chambers, as well as shrines where they could pray privately. So, perhaps Godfrey's private quarters lie somewhere up there. There would also be corridors for sentinels keeping watch over the fort's surroundings, a likely necessity during the earliest years of Marika's reign, before Godfrey's conquests united the continent under her rule. Most of Leyndell's buildings are sealed by wax, presumably the same substance used to patch up gargoyles. This apparent quarantine of the capital's residents is left unexplained, so we can only speculate as to the motive behind it. Perhaps the city's houses are full of zombies who lost their wits after the shattering, like the ones roaming the lower district. Such a desperate measure might have prevented the capital's streets from being overwhelmed by walking corpses, allowing the garrison to maintain a semblance of order. The Lake of Rot is a large underground area located in the Ainsel River region. To the northwest of the lake, there's an inaccessible area visible on the map. It contains elevated layers of shallow pools, resembling hot springs formed by geothermal activity. Scarlet rot has evidently been there long enough to reshape this cavern and had a profound impact on local geology. A bit further west, there's another deeper basin of scarlet rot. Long ago, the essence of an outer god of rot was sealed away in these parts. Perhaps its remains lie somewhere out there, acting as an endless source of scarlet rot. Southeast of the Shadow Keep lies the Cathedral of Manus Meteor. Below it lies a partially flooded cave, with a narrow passage flanked by finger-shaped rocks. There seems to be an underwater light source here, maybe from bioluminescent minerals that came with Meteor's comet. Upon blowing through a giant horn, we're taken to the finger-birthing grounds, the lair of Meteor, mother of fingers. This boss arena is only a small part of a much larger zone, blocked behind a fog wall. Based on what we can see while exploring, this place might be a giant air bubble, submerged in an underwater cave, deep inside the planet's crust. If that's the case, maybe the giant tubes are the physical roots of the two fingers, grown all the way up to the surface. If you enjoy my content, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.